there with my email address, or you can look up here and let me get that up there. You can use one of these ways to get in contact with me on our website. But if anybody's interested, let me know. I'll be glad to talk to you more about it. Thanks a lot, folks, for coming here today. I'm happy to take questions. So let's say about 10 minutes of questions, then we'll break it up. I'll sign books, and we can go eat and have some food. If you're buying the beer, I'll be there. Woo! Question? Yeah, back there. Hold on, Mike, just a second. Let me get that guy. He had his hand up earlier. Yeah.
I was wondering how you feel about the so-called atheists.
It's not an email. I'll contact you.
Well, I think there's room for both of us. I'm a big fan of Dawkins. I like Hitchens. I'm just not out there telling people how stupid they are. It's just not my style. I'm not saying it's wrong for them to do it, but it's not my style. And I think, here's the deal, most of us are not Dawkins or Hitchens. So stop pretending like we are. We have relatives, we have people that we care about. That's what I'm concerned about. How do you maintain relationships in a positive way in the real world? And they're not talking about that. Hitchens doesn't come on there and say, how do you develop a positive relationship with your fundamentalist mother-in-law? And I think that's a real question that we need to talk about. And that's what I'm doing. Yeah.
People are afraid of death. Okay?
Yes, right.
And they're afraid about what comes after death. And a practical example of this is the amount of time and money that's put into very expensive, intensive medical care to someone who is going to die. There's just nothing you can do. It's how can we stop this or reverse it or slow it down?
Well, first of all, I'd say I've got a video called Death, Neurosis, and Asteroids on YouTube. Go look at it. It actually kind of talks a little bit about that. Death is a natural process. Religion, once again, takes advantage of it and says, everyone's afraid of death, now let's make them neurotic about death, which increases the anxiety, emotion related to that, which plays right into the guilt cycle then, because I'm going to go to hell if I don't do what my religion says. I don't know that we can do a whole lot about it any more than I can convert my fundamentalist ex-mother-in-law. It's just not going to happen. But I can try to influence people. I can ask a question like, would you rather spend the money on something over here rather than on your funeral? Or I don't know if you saw that research on death and fundamentalists. The more religious a person is, the more they spend on life-ending medical stuff. Yeah, atheists spend less than fundamentalists do. So it just proves that there's a lot of death and neurosis there. And I think if we start talking out loud about death, that's something, you don't talk about sex and you don't talk about death out loud. I think we can do that as atheists. We can start talking matter-of-factly about our own death. I talk right out loud to my fundamentalist daughter, unfortunately. She caught the virus from my in-laws, but her grandparents. I can talk out loud about death to her, and it shocks her. Dad, you shouldn't be talking like that. Well, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it anyway. You know, instead of beating my head against the wall, it's the way to go around. You can talk out loud about sex, and you can talk out loud about death. And it shocks Christians, but it also makes them start thinking, wow, Darrel's so nonchalant about his own death that he can sit down and write the will out and talk to you about it out loud. Maybe I should do something. I think that's my attitude, and that's what I've been trying to do people the last 4 or 5 years of my life, and I think it works. Stop trying to convert them and just be who you are, a person who's come to terms with your own death and your own sexuality. Wow, what an amazing thing as a human being to come to terms with those two. Yes, back here and then over here. Yeah.
My personal pet peeve is when I see that people say "God bless you" every time I see. I'm like, whatever, you don't even know me, you know? So what is your response in regards to someone blessing you just because you got a booger in your nose?
I just say thank you and go on. I don't make a big deal out of it. I just don't do it.
Do you say thank you, or do you just
Sometimes I thank you, sometimes I just ignore it. But I was on an airplane the other day and I sneezed, and somebody said, "Bless you," 3 seats behind me. I'm not going to worry about it.
No, I don't respond to it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, oh.
Yeah, I just know. Okay, I had, yeah, Mike?
Yeah, I have a question. It seems like you're very different than a lot of the other new atheists in that you don't seem to care as much about converting the atheists as, say, a Sam Harris, who is very blatant about thinking religion is the worst force in the world almost, you know. So, do you have, I really, really like your idea that you're going to bang your head up against the wall with logic. And that's all I've been doing for the last decade, is using logic to try to convert, and it never has worked. Yeah, now I seriously, it's very enlightening. I understand now. Can you please tell me what exactly do you do? I don't know, or if you don't care about converting, then maybe this is a bad question. But if you do care about converting and helping people, can you give a specific strategy? I mean, I understand address the emotional, but can you be more specific about that? I'm kind of seeing where you're going, and I'm getting disconnected with like how to use that.
Well, let's start real simple, Mike. Look inside yourself. What's your motivation? Why do you feel so passionate about converting somebody else? I don't want to waste my time and energy on it. I got better things to do. But what I can do is be who I am. I can talk openly about things that shock the Christians without challenging. Well, you've got a stupid Catholic virus there. I can talk openly about things that Catholics won't talk about, like homosexuality, or my own sexuality, or death neurosis. That's kind of an oblique, a backdoor way of accomplishing the same thing. And I love Hitchens, I love Harris, I love all those guys. I just don't think they're going to make a whole lot of, I think they've done about as much as they can do. Now, we average Joes out here, atheists, or not theists, whatever you call yourselves, we need to get more sophisticated about dealing with those who are religious in our lives. That's all I'm saying. Let's stop just being blunt about it. Let's be more creative. And creativity is what I do when I talk with my daughter about death out loud. Because her church does not allow that. They're scared shitless of their own death. And the reason is because they're afraid they're going to go to hell. I'm not afraid of going to hell, so I can talk out loud about it. You know, there's some implicit messages as you talk about normal human things. Is that kind of hit where you're asking? Do you see where I'm going?
I see where you're going, yeah.
Yeah. Let me get to this guy and this lady here. Yeah. Go ahead.